everybody. Happy Tuesday. I almost said happy Wednesday, but it is in fact Tuesday. Good to see you. If possible, I would love it if you could turn your cameras on. As you can imagine, the energy is kind of low when you're talking to just a bunch of dark screens. So I strongly prefer, if you're able to turn on your camera. And we're going to jump in here in just a second. So we have a lot of people still coming in out of the waiting room. So we'll hang tight here for just a moment. But go ahead and tell us in the chat box, what are you most excited to learn about today? I would love to hear from you what you want to hear today. We have 30 minutes, and the goal is to help us, number one, understand how to uncover the true objection. And then number two, how do we deal with some of these holiday specific objections? So I'm glad you guys are here. This is usually a very well-attended topic, and we're offering it a little early this year. And I think people are still not yet quite in holiday mode. So you guys will be the ones that are ahead of the game because you are actually here today. So we are going to be first teaching you how to uncover the true objection. So get some notes ready. You're going to want to take notes on today's topic. And then while you're grabbing something to take notes on, I'll introduce myself really fast. I know what it can be like to be on a webinar and think, who is this person? Why am I listening to her? Does she have any credibility whatsoever? And I want you to know that using what I'm going to teach you today, December ended up tying for my best month of the entire year. So I had a mindset going into the holidays, my first year of real estate, that nobody's going to want to move during the holidays. How many of you have battled that? Your own mindset. How many of us think I would not want to move during the holidays, right? Like, I mean, I wouldn't want to move during the holidays, being honest, but I also don't need to move. So there's that. But I first realized I had to work on my own mindset. So I want to talk about that for just a moment, and then we'll jump into the dialogues. But my leader, my first year of real estate, my leader heard me talking about my expectation for December and how I thought that it was going to be a really rough month and we just weren't going to get anybody in the door. And he was like, Anna, if you think that, that is exactly what's going to happen. But if you think that it's going to be a great month, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I thought that was kind of hokey, to be honest with you. And I thought, well, what does it hurt me to embrace a positive mindset? It's not going to hurt me. He's not telling me to take some sort of weird chemical supplement or something, right? Like, he's just saying, have a positive mindset. So I just thought, well, what will it hurt me to start telling myself that December is going to be one of my top months of the year? So I started telling myself that it was going to be one of the top months. Now, have any of you ever worked on changing your mindset about anything? It could be work, it could be personal. I don't know about you, but for me, when I first start working on changing my mindset, I feel like I'm lying to myself. Does that sound familiar? So when I started telling myself December is going to be one of the top months, there was this little voice in the back of my head going like, that's not true. That's a lie. This is silly. Why are you doing this? But I had heard that it can feel like a lie when you start working on changing your mindset. So I just thought, again, what is it going to hurt me to think positively? I can't think of a downside to this. There's no downside to this, right? So I'm going to be working on my positive mindset. And what I want you to know is I eventually started to believe it. So I want you real quick in your notes, I want you to write down a thought that you have about this upcoming holiday season as it relates to your business. Some sort of negative thought if you're battling one. Now, if you don't have a issue with that, then don't worry about it. I think most people here can probably relate. So I'm going to give you a moment of silence here. And I want you to write down a negative thought that you have about your business as we enter the holiday season. Now, don't worry, I won't leave you there. We're going to make it positive, but you do need to identify what is that negative thought. Okay. Looks like you guys are still writing. Will you just kind of look up at me once you have it? Okay, I see a thumbs up. Okay. Now here's the trick to changing your mindset. And there's a lot of factors involved, but the number one factor that will help you change your mindset about the upcoming holiday season or just business in general is to write a new story for yourself. Some people call it an affirmation. You can call it whatever you want. I like to call them truth statements, things that I do believe are true. And so what you want to do is underneath the thing that you just wrote down that's negative and you wish you didn't think it, underneath of it, I want you to write the exact opposite. So let me give you an example before you do it. If I just wrote down December is going to be the worst month of my entire year, then I'm going to underneath that write December is going to be the best month of the entire year. If I write nobody wants to move, then I would write down everyone wants to move. So you're simply writing down the opposite, and it won't feel true. You're going to feel like you're writing down a lie, and that's okay. And once you've written down the positive, I want you to completely scratch out the negative. Think of it like your bank account, and there's a robber coming along and he would love to have your bank account. Scratch out the negative sentence as much as if it was your bank account number. Just completely get rid of it, okay? Because I don't want you to think it, read it, or see it anymore. And one more thought on mindset, and then we will get to the dialogues, I promise you. Do any of you like to go hiking? Maybe you go off-roading, or maybe you're not really a hiker, but you can imagine a trail in the woods from hiking, even if that's not something you really love to do. Here's the thing with mindset, and it does tie into hiking. So we're going to make an analogy real quick. If you think about it, and I want someone to unmute themselves and share with me, how do those trails get into the woods? How does a trail show up in the woods where you can see a footpath? How does it get there?
Repetition, walking it over and over again.
Yeah, it's going over it over and over and over and over. Now, I love to off-road, so I have a truck that I take off-roading, and it's the same thing. There's no paved trail or anything, but because the four-wheel drive vehicles drive in the same spot over and over and over and over, we eventually have trails. But here's the thing, is one day I went to the woods to go off-roading, and I actually thought I was lost, because usually you could go left, and now you could only go right, and I had this moment of like, am I in the right spot? And what I realized is I hadn't been up there probably in 6 months to a year, something like that. And in that short of time, just 6 months to a year, so much overgrowth had grown on what once had been the road that I could no longer see where the road was. There were like short little trees, very tall grass. And I had the thought of like, where is the road? And then the road that went to the right was much more defined than it ever had been. And now that was the path. It was very obvious. And I thought it was super cool because I learned from a neuroscientist that that is how our brains are. We have pathways in our brain. Think of them like hiking trails. This is very scientific today, everybody, but think of it like a hiking trail. And whatever you walk on in your brain, or whatever you tell yourself all the time over and over and over and over and over, that is what you're going to believe. You are literally cutting a pathway in your brain. It's called a neural pathway. And the only way to create a new one is to repetitiously tell yourself a different story. The reason I'm emphasizing repetitiously is I used to do affirmations like, today's going to be a great day. And then tomorrow I might say, everyone's going to pick up the phone. And then Friday I might say, everyone wants to talk to me. Now they're all positive statements, but because it's not the same one, I'm not actually cutting a pathway. Are you all tracking with me as I'm explaining this? So to truly change our thinking, we have to select a different story, and then we need to repetitiously say it over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And eventually you will believe it. It doesn't feel true when you start, but eventually you will come to believe that new story. And that was me. I thought December was going to be a bad month. I started telling myself that December was going to be one of my top months, and it ended up being just as many closings as my August. How many of you would love to have in December as many closings as you have in the summer? Anybody? That was fantastic. I couldn't believe it was one of my top months. And I really believe it started with my mindset. So I challenge you, it usually takes about 6 weeks for you to start believing the new thing. So give yourself about 6 weeks of repetitiously telling yourself the new story. Anytime a negative thought comes in your brain about the market, stop the thought and say the new thought. And eventually it will just become your habit. And now's a good time to do it because we still have quite a ways to the holidays. You'll be very positive by the time we get there. Got it? So somebody tell me something you learned in the first 10 minutes of this webinar. I just want to hear a takeaway, and then we're going to move on to the dialogues. I just need to know that I did my job. So what did you learn?
I learned that we need to speak out what we want.
Yeah. Speak out what you want.
There's always business out there if you're willing to go after it.
Yes. Now don't do this now because we're on a webinar. I want your attention here. But when we're done, go to your local MLS and just pull up how many homes have sold in the last 30 days. And then ask yourself, could I have achieved my financial goal were I to have had more of those homes be my closings, right? So I always found it encouraging when I perceived nothing was happening, or if I had a client that said nothing is happening. If I pulled up the MLS and could show them actually 50 homes sold in the past time frame or 212 homes sold in the past time frame, it immediately makes that thought that no one or nothing is happening. It shows that that is just not true. And so you're absolutely right. There are people moving, there are people buying right now. And the thing is, the people buying right now are serious. If they're out looking right now, they are serious. And so it is actually a great time to list your home. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump into the dialogue. What I want to do first is show you the pattern. Now, some of you have taken the class I teach. A lot of you have not. I see a lot of new faces today, so we're glad to have you. But I teach the class Mega Lead Conversion, and I'm going to go ahead and pull up part of our session 8. This is straight out of the class. And this is the steps, or these are the steps to uncover an objection. Do not take a picture of the screen because you're going to get more out of this as you write notes. So I want you to actually physically write the notes so that this really gets in your brain. When someone gives you an objection, and it could be, I don't want to write an offer on this house. It could be, I don't want to meet with you. It could be, I want to wait until spring, or any of the holiday objections, right? I don't want to have showings while my family's here. I want to wait till the spring, any of that stuff. You're going to immediately jump into these 4 steps, no matter what objection they give you. So this applies more than just holiday objections. This is any objection. But the first thing you want to do is welcome it and rephrase it. And you're going to say something like, I am so glad you told me, or thanks for being honest with me. That's what we mean when we say welcome. So, hey, thanks for letting me know. Thanks for filling me in. So you're going to welcome it. Then you're going to say it back to them. So I'm so glad you told me. So what you're saying is you want to wait until after the holidays to list your home. Is that correct? Now, I want to hear from you. You guys are a pretty interactive group, which I appreciate. Why do you think we start with welcoming it and then saying it back to them? What's the psychology there? And just take a guess. If you're not sure, just guess.
Because you're showing that you're listening to them and they're heard and understood.
Yes. Yes. It's, hey, I heard you. I listened to you. I'm not having a knee-jerk reaction. A lot of times salespeople have this like, oh, but you should because, and one, we're telling someone what they should do, and that's never really a good idea. But also they don't feel heard. They feel talked to, not listened to, right? Also, why do you think we rephrase it? Why would I take the time to say, I'm hearing you say you want to wait until the spring. Is that right? What do you think that's about?
It shows that you're listening.
It does. What are they likely going to say? If I just said what they just said back to them and then say, is that right? What are they probably going to say?
Yes.
Yes. So basically, we're creating a way for them to say yes to you early on in the objection pattern. Okay. There's some psychology there. So I've noticed a lot of people try to skip that part. They're like, I just don't think I don't know why it's there. I don't know why we do number 1. And so I wanted to explain to you, there is a psychology there. So 1, they feel heard. It is a pattern interrupt. I saw Courtney type that in. Yes, very true. And then it also gets us a yes. All right. So what I'm hearing you say is back up. Thank you so much for telling me. What I'm hearing you say is you want to wait until the spring. Is that right? Yes. Okay, great. Then you're going to ask 2 digging questions. What is a digging question? All it means is you're using whatever they just said in the very next question. So if they said the word pine cone, you would ask, what about pine cones are important to you? So the point I'm making is whatever word they said or phrase, put that into your next question. So if they say, I want to wait until spring, your next question might be, what about waiting until spring is important to you? All right. Now that's called keyword backtracking. And basically what that means is you're using their exact phrasing back to them, and it builds rapport. It builds rapport. I did this once with a guy who was kind of in a bad mood on the phone. I'm sure you've never talked to anybody like that, but he was just being kind of rude. And I was doing that. I was using keyword backtracking and things like that. And he ended up saying to me, he's like, I don't know what it is, but I just like you. And I don't like realtors, but I like you. And I thought to myself, well, one, I'm actually listening to you. I'm not Facebooking. I'm not multitasking. Like, I am listening. Two, I'm using his words. And I don't know that he realized that, but he was starting to feel like, I don't know what it is. I just kind of like you. Well, that's why. Okay. So maybe he says, well, I want to wait until spring because I think the market is bad right now. And then I might say, what makes you believe the market is bad right now? So again, I'm just using his phrasing. So far we have, hey, I'm so glad you told me. What you're saying is you want to wait till spring. Is that right? Okay, great. What about waiting until the spring is important to you? The market's bad. Okay, what makes you believe the market's bad? And all I'm really doing is wanting to understand. Notice I'm not telling him anything. They could give you an objection that you have no idea how to solve it, and it's fine because you're just asking questions. Then you're going to do step number 3. So I'm going to say everything back to him and make sure I heard it correctly. So what I think I'm hearing you say is you want to wait until the spring. And that is because you believe that the market is bad right now. Is that correct? Okay, great. Now, part of number 3 is simply just to make sure we're on the same page. But sometimes you'll have people who say, oh, no, that's not what I meant. And what that'll do is it'll give them a chance to fix it, because I need to make sure I'm actually solving the correct problem. So I do need to make sure I'm actually on the same page. And if he says, yeah, that's right, then I go on to step number 4, which is called a conditional close. Now, in your notes, don't only write down conditional close. Later, you might wonder, what is a conditional close? Write it down as, if I can, would you? So I might say, hey, George, if I can show you that listing during the holidays actually is very strategic and can help you get more money, would you be open to talking about it? Notice, please, I'm not asking him, would you list your house with me today? That's too strong, actually. It's more just, would you be open to at least talking about it? And most people will say yes, unless they're just really closed off. Some people will say no because they're closed off, but a lot of times they'll say yes, because you're not saying, will you list with me right now in this moment? You're just saying, hey, would you at least be open to hearing about it? So if I can show you that listing right now, even during the holidays, would actually help you earn more money than other times of the year, would you be open to at least hearing about it? Yes. And then that's where you would go into solving it. Okay. Now, if they say no, then you're going to say, well, what else is holding you back? And likely you'll start back up at step number 1 again. It's very common that people have more than one objection. They might say, well, I think the market's bad. And then you say, hey, if I can show you it's a good market, would you be open to it? No. Okay. I'm being dramatic, but you just say, okay, hey, I'm glad you told me. What else is holding you back then? Well, I don't think my wife wants to move. And then you just start back up at number 1. Okay. Hey, you know what? Hey, I'm so glad you were honest with me. So you don't think your wife wants to move and you're worried about the market. Is that right? Okay, cool. What makes you think your wife does not want to move? And then do you see you would just go back through the same pattern? So I'd probably get down to the bottom and it would be, okay, if I can show you that it's a good time to list and you can get more money because of the market, even during the holidays, and we can get your wife on the same page and confirm that she does want to move, are you open to moving before the holidays or listing your house during the holidays? Whatever it is. And if I get a yes, that's when I start solving the objections. Okay. So that's the pattern. That pattern you can use all the time, everywhere. Okay. Whatever industry you're in. I see some people here from other industries. We're glad you're here. So even though we're talking about real estate, it's just how to uncover objections in any industry, any sales. So that's how you do it. Now let's talk through some of the holiday specific objections. So I'm going to basically give you a bullet point list. It's not on the screen, so just take notes. And I just want you to write down reason, and just get a whole list. Okay. The first one is people looking during the holidays are serious. They are serious. They are not looking unless they are actually serious. So truthfully, I talked to someone earlier today who had an objection about the holidays. And I just said, you know what? You might have less showings during the holidays. I'm not sure, but the ones you have will be very serious. So you might actually be able to sell your house with less showings. How does that sound? Do you know how many people have you just smiled at me? So do you want 1 million showings with people that are just kind of looking around because it's summer and I like real estate? Or do you want people who are like, it's my day off and it's Christmas and I need to take time and find a house because I got to move before January? Well, I'd rather have less showings and more serious people, right? So that's the truth. So you have less showings usually, but more serious people. The next point here is houses sell very well during the holidays because of the Christmas decorations, things like that. So it's actually been proven that homes that are decorated for the holidays sell more because people are more emotional. So they're in the house and they are more emotional. They are thinking about families. And also your house typically looks great. So houses tend to sell very well when it's decorated for Christmas. It reminds me of my parents. They got married in December because my mom didn't want to have to pay to decorate the church. And the church was gorgeous. I've seen pictures. It was one of the prettiest weddings I've seen. And people that were there have told me your parents' wedding was one of the prettiest I've ever been to. Yeah. And my mom did nothing. It was just decorated for the holidays. So it's kind of that idea. It looks great. Right. Something else that I used to say, and I used to set about 40 appointments a month. Something I used to say to sellers, say they wanted to list in January and they were very firm on that. I'm not listing until January. Okay. I at least still want to get them to hire me now so that I have it secured. Right. So even if we don't list it yet, I want to have them hired. Like I want to be the one that's going to list it. So I used to say things like, you know how you're kind of tearing apart your house to decorate it for the holidays? I would love to get our stager in there before you do all that, so that when you go to put your house back after the holidays, you only have to do that once. So if our stager comes out, when you go to put your house back to normal after the holidays, you can do it with our stager's advice in your mind and save you actually doing it twice. Does that make sense to everyone the way I worded that? Okay. And that actually worked really well. So sometimes people would meet with me, say in November, and our plan was not to list until January, but I still got them in and we still got the listing agreement. And I was building my pipeline. So that's another thing you can do. The other thing is a lot of times people do wait until January or just the spring in general, which means more competition. And the way you can word this is, as you have more competition and more houses are listed, you're going to lose some power as a seller because buyers are going to have more homes to choose from. So if there are less houses for them to choose from, it's going to help you as a seller. And by the way, I'm focusing on sellers today because sellers help control the real estate market. That's why I'm focusing on them versus buyers. Also, here's another point that you can make. A lot of employers will hire people to start in the new year, which means people need to move before the new year because they're starting a new job in January. So it will help them capture those people. And there are also people who want to buy in this year because it helps them with taxes. And so they're going to want to hop on a house now to help them out with taxes. I think the overall thing here, though, is the people looking right now are serious. That is the number one thing. They're serious. I want to give you one more thing, and then we're going to talk through where you can get more training like this. Another common one that we hear, and I get it, I feel exactly the same way. I host Thanksgiving, and the week of Thanksgiving, the thought of people coming to my house for showings is overwhelming because my house is torn apart and there's going to be like 15 people here. So what a lot of people don't realize is you can black out showing days. Now, you guys probably know that as realtors, but I don't know that we talk about it a lot. We just hear, I want to wait till after the holidays. And most people go, okay, I'll call you in January. And that's the extent of it. And we need to find out, well, why do you want to wait till after the holidays? What's important about that? What does it mean to you? And if you find out that they're just concerned that their holidays will be interrupted, you can let them know. We can actually put in the calendar that there are days that you will not have showings. So if you don't want to have showings on certain days, you don't have to. We can say that the house is not available. And a lot of people do not know that. One other thing, I said one more, but now I'm going to give you another one. Maybe they say, I'm fine with listing it, but I don't want to move till like February. You can let them know when we're negotiating, you can negotiate that the house goes under contract and it sells, but you're not moving until February. Or we can put your closing date to February. You all know how to work contracts, right? So you would just say, you would discuss how, well, we can negotiate a lot of that, actually. That's all part of what would go into negotiation, is when is moving day. So those are some common ways to handle objections. So how many of you think you could probably set some appointments off what you learned today? Good. I love this group. Y'all are small, but you are mighty today. We have a small group. Usually there's like 100 people on here. You guys are so interactive. I love it. So I do want to share with you real quick where you can find trainings like this. So there are 2 programs, and I'm not going to make this all super salesy. Okay. I just want you to know what's available to you. And if you want to do it, let me know and I'll tell you how to get signed up. Starting, I think it's November 8th. I should probably know that off the top of my head, right? Let me look at the calendar. So about 4 weeks from today, November 8th. So Wednesday, November 8th, we are starting the 4th launch of the class Mega Lead Conversion. And in that class, we have 18 weeks of language patterns. So what I taught you today was a language pattern, the 4-step process. What I love about it is you get to be yourself, right? You get to be yourself with your own words, your own way of saying things. But I give you a psychological pattern that is proven to work. So you get to be yourself, but you also get to use a pattern that works. That class is called Mega Lead Conversion. I just had a student recently take it, and she said 2 months into the program, I was meeting, like sitting down in front of 10 extra people per month because of the class, and I'm only 2 months in. Not setting 10, actually seeing 10 extra clients a month for a buyer or listing appointment, only 2 months into the program. So that class is called Mega Lead Conversion. It starts November 8th, and it's very easy. Just go to megaleadconversion.com. I'll put that into the chat box, and you can go ahead and get signed up. So megaleadconversion.com, November 8th. Every class is recorded. So if you have a schedule conflict, a lot of people are taking bold right now. That's totally fine. The class is recorded, so you can just watch it on your own schedule. I love it when you're live because I like to interact with you. But we have a lot of people who watch the recordings because of conflict, and that's completely fine. The other program I want to make you aware of is a program called Role Play Rumbles. So today I kind of did a one-sided role play, but what Role Play Rumbles is, it's where we actually role play with you. And that's going to be 3 times a week. So what it looks like, let me kind of define it a little bit better. In Mega Lead Conversion, I am teaching like I did today. I'm explaining the psychology. We're talking through why things work. I'm giving you the 4 steps, and I'm explaining all the ins and outs, and I'm also demonstrating it for you. So think of Mega Lead Conversion as the teaching part. Role Play Rumble is a separate program. You can do both or just one or the other, whatever works for you. A lot of people do both. And Role Play Rumble is the practice. So this is now where, okay, let's take what we've learned and actually do it. Let's actually do what we've been practicing. And what it looks like is 1 day a week, I will come on for 30 minutes and I will demonstrate what the patterns look like. I'm not going to teach. Basically, we start, and at the first minute I say, hey, who wants to role play with me? I'll be the agent, you're the client. And Stacy might raise her hand and I'll say, okay, what's your scenario? Cool, let's go. And I just jump right into role play. I'm not really explaining anything. I just am demonstrating, because you will learn as you watch, right? You will learn as you see it done. Then 3 days a week, we have organized role play where you hop on, we have a moderator to make sure that you actually are getting value and things are orderly. And they will put you in pairs into breakout rooms through Zoom, and you will have time to practice. We also give you feedback forms so that you can provide good feedback to your partner and they can give you good feedback. What I love about this is the number one thing that I hear from people is my role play partner stinks. They never show up. And this role play network, it's $99 a month. So it's not that much. But the thing is, if you're paying $99 a month, it's enough that you're probably going to show up and engage, right? So it's not a lot, but it's enough. And so it helps make sure that you're with people who are also there to learn. There's a lot of role play networks out there but usually it's coaches demonstrating the entire time. And basically you're watching an expert, but they're not making you an expert. And the goal of this program is to make you the expert. So one day a week, I will demonstrate it, but the rest of the time you are practicing and you will become the expert. It's the difference between I can watch football all day long. That doesn't make me a football player, right? I actually need to be doing the game of football myself. And that is how I will become an excellent football player. So that's what this looks like. So let me put the link for Role Play Rumbles into the chat box. That is a monthly subscription, and it's only a 3-month commitment. After that, it's month to month, and you can stay or go depending on what you need. So it's really just 3-month commitment. And then after that, it's up to you. So again, the 2 programs, we have Mega Lead Conversion. That is a 6-month program where I teach, and it's teaching the business of lead conversion. Then we have Role Play Rumble, which is the practice of lead conversion. And a lot of people do both. Okay. Role Play Rumble, it's actually jump in. We meet every week. Okay. And it's a subscription. So you can sign up today and join us tomorrow. If it was morning, you could have joined us today. It literally is you sign up and you get immediate access. You get immediate access to that, Regina. Yeah. Sue, yes, we will send a recording of this to everyone that registered. Yeah, the scripts, and we call them dialogues more now, because again, it's more just how to talk to people. It's not like say every exact word on this page. In the class, so it's similar to Mega Lead Conversion. So in Mega Lead Conversion, I'm teaching you scripts and dialogues. Those same ones are in Role Play Rumble. The big difference is one is practice, one is teaching. And you typically need both. I'm taking piano lessons right now. I'll be honest with you. I don't always practice because I'm really busy with work, and he knows that. Work is my primary thing, right? Piano's for fun. This is for my living, and I love it. And you can tell a difference. When I only go to lesson, I improve because I'm playing for an hour with my teacher. But when I go to my lesson and I practice in between, it is a significant difference when I show up to lesson. And he knows if I practiced or not in between lessons. And that's it. So the Mega Lead Conversion is kind of like the piano lesson. Role Play Rumbles is the practice in between. Hopefully that answered your question. If we were to sign up for Role Play Rumble, where do I get the dialogues? Oh, as soon as you sign up, they're in there. So you'll get a client portal. You'll get an automatic email inviting you to the client portal. And when you log in, you will see the dialogues in there. It's immediate. So again, it's a 3-month commitment. And then after that, it's month to month. We have people that have done it for 2-3 years. And they're still in there because they're just always practicing. But if you are in there for 3 months and you decide, I just don't know, that's fine. I don't think that will be the case, but that is okay. Regina, the practice times are 10 to 10:30 Central Time on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then I hop on 11 to 11:30 on Wednesday Central Time, and I demonstrate. That call that I do is recorded. That call's recorded. So if you're not there for practice, you'll just miss practice that day. But if you're not there for the call that I do for Role Play Rumble where I demonstrate, you will get the recording. It just doesn't make sense to record people practicing. It just doesn't really make sense. But my part will be recorded. Some of them are the same, some of them are different than Bold. Here's the thing with scripts and dialogues. There's all different classes, even within MAPS, and each one's a little bit different, but they're all proven models, right? So mine are not exactly the same as Bold. Some of them I got from Bold, and then I, tweaked some things, changed them. They've all been approved through MAPS. We all have, and they're proven to work, but they're not exactly the same. So for example, I teach, what do you do if someone picks up the phone and they're like, I'm busy, can you just call me later? Well, how do you navigate that? How do you set an appointment that gets a 90% signing ratio? I have a 4-step process to help you get a 90% hiring ratio or signing ratio. So they are different than Bold. There might be some overlap, but they are proven to work. Let me know if I'm answering your question. I do have to hop off in about 2 minutes. So if you have any other questions, let me know now. But again, the 2 programs are Mega Lead Conversion. That operates on Wednesdays, and it starts November 8th. If you go to the link and click to sign up, you'll see the whole schedule in there. Before you sign up, you'll see it. And then the separate program is Role Play Rumble. And that's the one where it's practice. And again, you can do one or the other or both. A lot of people do both, at least if they've never done either. They'll do both just to really master the material. And then a lot of people, once they've taken Mega Lead Conversion, they'll only do Role Play Rumble, just because that's the practice and they already got the content. Great question. I'm not sure how to say your name, but the question about who provides feedback when you're role playing. So your partner that you're practicing with, and we give a feedback form so that they, like, not everybody knows how to give feedback. So we actually make it very easy because we give a form and with questions that they are supposed to answer about how you did, what to look for, how do you provide feedback, and then it flips. So typically what'll happen is you'll hop on, let me just demonstrate. So let's say that we're in a room one-on-one together through Zoom. The moderator just paired us up and now we're in a room. I might say, hey, Regina, what's your topic for today? And she might say, be a buyer who just can't pick a house. We've looked at like 12 houses and you can't pick one. Okay. And then I would be a buyer that can't pick a house and Regina would practice. And about halfway through, we're going to stop and I'm going to look at the feedback form and I'm going to answer the questions provided for me so that I'm actually giving her quality feedback. Okay. And then we'll flip and she might say, all right, what's your scenario? And I might say, I have a guy that every time I call him, he says to call him next week for like months. And we would practice that scenario. And then she would also have a feedback form to give me feedback on that. Okay. I would say the best one is Mega Lead Conversion. So if you've never had the training, Mega Lead Conversion is a great place. It's 6 months, $199 a month. And you get all the scripts, dialogues, how to do it, economic models. It's basically, if you want to have a successful lead conversion business, take Mega Lead Conversion and you will have every tool that you need. Trackers, dialogues, scripts, everything. If you have had that class or you're taking it for the first time, I recommend also doing Role Play Rumbles. Together, it's a good pairing. You know, I can't answer. I see the question about what if my role play partner knows less than I do? You're going to be with different people each week. I wouldn't want to always be the one who knows the most on the call. And I wouldn't always want to be the one who knows the least. Right. So you're not with the same people every week. And remember, you're meeting 3 times a week. So sometimes you might be the person on the call who knows the most. And sometimes you might be the person on the call who doesn't know the most. And both have value. I personally find that I learn a lot when I'm teaching someone else because maybe they don't know as much as I do. And through explaining something to them, I learn. And then the flip, right? The next call I might be with someone who knows way more than I do, and they're going to help me get better. Yeah. But yeah, I can't guarantee like what every single one will look like, right? But what I can tell you is we've had people in this program now for 2 years who are still in it and they've never left and they can leave. They've been there for 3 months and they don't want to because they're just getting that much value out of it. Yeah. Good. Sue, what was your aha moment if you're willing to share? I'm putting you on the spot, so you don't have to if you don't want to, but I'd love to hear. And then I'm going to have to hop because of time. So let me again, real quick, Sue, get ready to tell us. I just put the Role Play Rumble link into the chat box. And again, if you sign up today, you can be with us tomorrow. It's an immediate, you're in as soon as you register because it's ongoing throughout the year. So you could join us tomorrow. And then the class Mega Lead Conversion, which is really where I recommend you get started if you haven't done any of this, would be what starts on November 8th. And that link is there. So if you're not going to do both, and you've not had training, I would do Mega Lead Conversion. Okay. But if you can, I would recommend doing both. Okay. Sue, what was your aha moment?
Your dialogue in the beginning, with repeating and then digging for more questions. I'm not always a very inquisitive person, but this, I'm going to be more inquisitive.
Yes. Good. That's a great takeaway. Questions are where it's at. That's how you build that rapport.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just saw a question that I missed. Does it cover what to say on voicemails? Yes. Nobody really ever asked me that question, but yeah, we teach you how to leave a voicemail that people actually call you back. It's like session 10 or something like that. But yeah, we do teach that. Thank you, Sue, for sharing.
You're
Any
welcome.
last questions? Speak now or forever hold your peace because I got to bounce. I have a call with a client in about 2 minutes. Cool. Who will I see at Mega Lead Conversion? I can't see all of you, so maybe tell me in the chat box. Good. It looks like quite a few of you. Awesome. Go ahead and sign up today. That way we can start working on getting your portal ready, and that'll give us, it's only like 3 or 4 weeks away. It's not that far. So go ahead and get registered for Mega Lead Conversion. And then if you are, if you've already taken it, or if you want the maximum value, then also go ahead and do Role Play Rumbles. Again, Role Play Rumbles is $99 a month, 3-month commitment, and then just ongoing from there if you want. And then Mega Lead Conversion is 6 months. Okay. South Africa. Martin, you know that I was there, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Yes.
But I joined Keller Williams just after you left.
Awesome. I love South Africa. I was just there for 3 weeks, and we drove 2,200 miles in 3 weeks. I got home 3 weeks ago, actually. So
yeah.
I'm a big South Africa fan. Regina, the look on your face is priceless right now. Yeah, we went into 3 countries.
So easy to do that kind of mileage here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We, the person that was with us said, people don't do this here. And I was like, that's part of why I love it. One day I will say this, and then I got to go. And if you need to go, this has absolutely nothing to do with real estate or sales, but it's about traveling through Africa. But we went into the country Eswatini, and it just so happened to be the day that the king was choosing a wife. So I said to the guy driving us, I was like, I am not getting out of the car because I don't know how this works. So we are not stopping anywhere.
Very different over there.
Yes. Yeah, it was really different. I could tell when we left South Africa, it was definitely different.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, listen, it was great being with you guys. And I'm just going to tell you all, I never could have afforded to go to South Africa for 3 weeks until I got really good at scripts and dialogues. And I'm not just like, really, truly, I used to make no money. I was in really bad shape. I had to go to my church once and ask them to help me pay some financial or some health bills. And then I got into real estate and I mastered scripts and dialogues, and I just went to South Africa for 3 weeks, and it was not even stressful financially. It was fine. So that's why I'm so passionate about this, is I have seen it change my life. And so if you're catching passion from me today, that's why. That is why. I've seen the difference it makes. So good. Well, good to be with you all, wherever you live, South Africa, Canada, the United States, wherever you are. I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you sign up for Role Play Rumble today, I will see you tomorrow. And if you sign up for Mega Lead Conversion, I will then see you on November 8th. So either way, I hope to see you soon, and have a great rest of your day.